Hello, my amazing ninjas. For today's lesson, before you start this recording, I want to make sure that you have read all the directions on the lesson page that can be found above this recording. And you also want to make sure that you have read the 3 texts that are in the PDF that is above this lesson as well. It is a 6-page PDF that has 3 different texts in it. So make sure that you have read that before your lesson today. Those texts will need to be read before you start this. So if you haven't read them, just go ahead and pause this video and go back up above the video in the lesson page and look for the PDF with those texts for you to read. There's 3 different articles in there. They're short, they're about 1 page each. So go ahead and read those and then come back to this lesson. If you have already read those texts, then you are ready for our lesson today, and we are ready to begin. So for our opinion writing lesson today, we're going to dive deeper into opinion writing. So in previous lessons, you have learned about opinion writing. You've learned a little bit about how we organize it, how we start it, some of the tools as writers that we use for our opinion writing. And you've also seen an example of an exemplary opinion writing piece, which means an example of what type of writing we are looking for. And we're going to see more and more examples as we go through our module on opinion writing. So today's just a little lesson on how we form our opinions and how we plan for our opinion writing. Because a really important piece of opinion writing is making sure that you understand how to make an opinion, how to express your own opinion, and how to plan to write your opinion essay. So as you notice on your screen, you'll see some learning goals. And the first one is I can form an opinion and support it with textual evidence. So today we are going to be forming opinions and we are going to be supporting them with evidence from the articles that you've read. So that's our first learning goal. And our second learning goal is I can plan my opinion writing. So we're going to use a graphic organizer to help us with a fun acronym, and it's going to help us to plan our opinion writings so we have a plan going in. It's easier to write if you have a plan or a start rather than just going in without any sort of plan. So as you can see, those are our learning goals on the left-hand side of the screen, and then we have our learning progression scale. So remember, at the beginning of a unit or the beginning of a learning goal, we'll usually start down in the zeros, the ones, or the two. We haven't quite learned everything we need to learn to be able to meet our goals. So right now you guys are probably at a 1 or a 2. We're in the second week of our module, so you're probably around a 1 or a 2. And you'll notice around a 1 or a 2 recognize fact versus opinions, which we had some practice with that. And able to organize your facts and informations. We're able to talk about our point of views and our opinions, and we've been able to find some evidence to support our opinion. So we've done some of the things in the 2. Today we're going to work on some items in the 2 as well as some items that are in the 3 on this scale. So today we are going to be grouping related details together. We're going to be organizing our details. We're going to be forming opinions. So that's some of the things that you can find in that 2. Up in the 3, we are going to be doing some of the parts of the 3. We're going to be clearly introducing our topic and stating an opinion. We're going to practice that today. We are going to be practicing an organizational structure in which ideas are logically grouped. So we're going to be practicing that. We're going to be practicing our order of reasons and supporting them by facts and details. And we're also going to be practicing our concluding statement. So we're going to be practicing a lot of those items up in the 3. So even though we're practicing some of the 3s today, remember to be at a 3, which is our target, that's where you want to be by the end of the module, you have to do it independently on your own. So right now, today, we're working on it together. I'm guiding you with it, so that's going to put us around a 2. but soon you'll be able to do this on your own and you'll be at a 3. Some of you can probably do this on your own and teach this lesson, which is great. So that is our learning goal and our scale, and we're going to touch base on that again at the end of our lesson. So keep that in the back of your mind as we go through our lesson, some of the goals as we're meeting them. So today we're going to be talking about opinion writing, and some of you have asked, why is opinion writing important? Why is it important that I back up my opinions? And your opinion matters. Throughout life and throughout your educational career, and even when you are talking with your friends or your parents or your teachers, or in the future, the people that you'll be working with and for, your opinion is going to matter. People are going to want your advice, or they're going to want to know what you think about something or share your thoughts. And that is really important because you all have really important thoughts and opinions and information that you can share with the world. And you want to be able to share that with the world. And you also want to be able to support your opinions. So, for example, if I were to say that I think school is important, well, someone's going to ask me, well, why do you think that? Why is school important? What proof do you have? So, throughout this opinion writing module, we're going to not only be learning about writing, but we're going to be learning how to express our thoughts and our opinions and how to support it when someone asks us why, or if we want to try and persuade somebody to think the way we think. So just know that your opinion matters, your thoughts matter, you are important, and that is one of the reasons why we want to learn how to express ourselves in a clear way. So these are the different sources that you were supposed to read before starting this lesson. If you have not read them, I would say pause as each one comes up so you can read it before we begin this lesson. So there's 3 sources. There's source number 1 titled Kids and After School Sports. There's source number 2 that's called Grades Come First. And we have a third source, and it's called Sports Are Separate from School. So these 3 articles are what you should have read to help you gain an understanding about sports that are provided by a school and how different viewpoints of these sports have affected people. So I want you to, as you read through these articles, I'm sure you were kind of forming your own opinion of, I like that idea, or I think that's wrong, or I think that is true, or I don't think that's true. So you read through these articles and it helped you to gain a better understanding of your thoughts, possibly, about what you think about school and sports. So after reading those 3 articles, there was a prompt. And so this prompt is something that you are going to see after for each of our writings. Opinion writing, you're going to see this prompt, and it's going to tell you to do something. And the way that we know that this is an opinion writing piece is because it uses the word opinion in it. So I'm going to go ahead and read through this prompt. Follow along as I read it out loud. Directions. The passages are about sports programs in school. Write an essay in which you give your opinion about whether or not schools should require students to get good grades in order to play sports after school. Use information from the sources in your essay. So we're writing an essay. So an essay means that it's going to have multi-paragraphs, more than one paragraph, and we're giving our opinion. The really important piece is, what are we giving our opinion on? And the opinion piece is whether or not schools should require students to get good grades in order to play sports. So you're either going to have an opinion on schools should not require good grades for them to play in sports, or they should require grades for them to get in sports. And sometimes people have opinions that meet in the middle, where they think there's certain circumstances for the rule. So that is our prompt. That's really important to know. But what's also really important is the information underneath it, because these are the requirements that we also have for our writing piece. I don't want you to overlook these. Each bullet point is a piece of direction or a requirement that we have to meet. So you have to read the passages, which you should have done before starting our lesson. We have to plan our responses, which we are. We're going to be planning today. You're going to need to write your response, revise, and edit it. So those are the steps. Read the passages, plan, write, and edit. 4 steps in writing your opinion essay. The requirements, it says be sure to include an introduction. Support your opinion using information from the passages. So that means I have to use information from the text to support my opinion. And a conclusion. So I need to tie up all of the information that I give in my essay at the end. I need to conclude it. And down here, the last sentence says, your writing should be in the form of a well-organized multi-paragraph essay. That means it's going to be more than one paragraph, and we're going to talk about that today as we plan. So this is the prompt that you are going to see anytime you have to write an opinion piece. It's always going to give you these important pieces of information. So it's really important to pay attention to this and read it carefully. So, as you learned earlier in the module, when we write an opinion piece, an easy way for us to plan that opinion piece is by remembering Oreo. Oreo, it's so easy. I'm sure everyone in here has ever either heard of an Oreo or you've eaten an Oreo. So, this opinion piece planning guide is so easy because all we have to remember is Oreo. You don't even, by the end of this unit, you're not even going to need to know what this organizer looks like because it's going to be in your head and you're going to know exactly how to plan your opinion piece. So let's dive into this graphic organizer in each of the parts. So the O, so when we see Oreo, the O stands for opinion. So in this very first section that says opinion, of your organizer, you're going to put 2 things in it. So this is, before you write your essay, you're putting 2 things. You're going to put a grabber and a hook, which we learned about previously in our module. A grabber or a hook is something that you use to catch your reader's attention. You're grabbing them or you're hooking them into reading your writing. You want to make it interesting so they want to know what comes next or what you're writing about. So you're going to put that into your planning sheet. And you're also going to clearly state your opinion, and you're going to write that sentence or 2 on here. So the O is your opinion. You're going to write your opinion and put that grabber and hook in that first section. The R and the E out of Oreo, the R and the E gets repeated multiple times. So you have an Oreo sandwich. And in the R section, which is the reasons, there's a reason 1, you're going to include a reason to support your opinion. So for example, if I had an opinion of I like dogs, I need a reason as to why I like dogs. My reason might be that they like to play fetch or that I can brush them because they have hair. If I had a fish, I wouldn't be able to brush it. So I love dogs because I can brush their hair. So that's your reason. You're going to list a reason clearly in your own words to support your opinion. And then you're going to find evidence to support your reason. Remember we talked about finding evidence from the text or from our own thoughts? That's going to go in your evidence box. So the O is your opinion, the R is your reason, and the E is your evidence. And in that evidence box, you have to have at least 3 pieces of evidence. At least 2 from the text and 1 from your own mind. Now you can have more than that, but you need at least those requirements. And as we move further down, remember I was talking about how the R and the E repeats. So we have your opinion, a reason and evidence, a reason and evidence, a reason and evidence. So it's kind of like an Oreo sandwich. You start with your opinion, then you have the RE. So it's like Oreo. That's what it's going to be like when you're looking through it. And the last thing is your opinion stated at the end again. So you're just restating your opinion down in that bottom box. So as you can see, it spells out Oreo, kind of like when I was saying Oreo, Oreo, Oreo. So you have your Oreo. It's a big sandwich. And that's where the Oreo comes from. It's an acronym to help us remember how this graphic organizer works. And we're going to walk through this graphic organizer step by step, okay? We're going to walk through it step by step as to how does each section get filled out and what goes in each section. We're going to dive into that a little bit deeper in today's lesson. Now, for some of you, you have probably seen an Oreo graphic organizer before. You've probably worked with it. That's great. This is going to be a review lesson for you, which is always important. And some of you might not have seen this before, and you might have another way of planning out your opinion writing, which is okay. There are so many ways for us to plan out our opinion writings. This is one way, and it's a really fun way. Sometimes you can eat Oreos as you're writing your opinion writing. So we're going to learn about the Oreo graphic organizer and see if that works for you. So we're going to revisit our prompt because we've read our articles on sports in schools and whether or not we think it's a good idea. So the first thing that we need to do with our Oreo graphic organizer is we need to state our opinion. Do we think that schools should require students to get good grades in order to play sports after school? What do we think? Should they or should they not? I don't know. What do you guys think? We need to put it in that top box. We need to create a grabber to grab our reader's attention, and we need to clearly state our opinion. And I'm going to tell you, I was thinking about it, and I came up with an opinion of my own, and that's what I'm going to use to fill out this graphic organizer. You can fill it out using what I have created, or if you have a different opinion, you can fill out your organizer completely different. So what I want you to do right now is pause the video. I want you to get your Oreo organizer out, and you're going to work through this step by step with me. And like I said, you can use my opinion and my examples for your organizer, or you can go along with me, but you can use your own opinion and your own reasons. Either way, because there's different opinions that we can have, and that's okay, as long as we can support our opinions. So my opinion was that I think that schools should require students to have good grades. I think that education is really important. That is one of the reasons I became a teacher. So I think you should have good grades to play sports in school. So thinking about that opinion, I need to create a grabber that's going to catch my reader's attention. I really want to draw my reader in before I tell them my opinion. So my grabber is in the form of a question. What do you think is more important? Being able to score points in a sport or being able to read? And I need to put a comma there. I'm getting my reader thinking. They're wondering, I don't know, what is more important? What is this author going to write about? What is this author going to tell me? So I'm getting their mind working and really hooking them into reading my writing. That's my grabber. The grabber is the first thing that has to go in your opinion section of your graphic organizer. So go ahead and pause the video and write your grabber. You can use my grabber if you'd like because we're planning this together. We're a team. But if you have a better, more interesting grabber or a different opinion, so you need a different grabber, then you know what? Go ahead and write it now. All right, so hopefully you paused the video and wrote your grabber in that opinion box. Let's talk about our opinion. We need to clearly state it. We don't want our readers guessing. What are they thinking? What is their opinion? We want our readers to know what our opinion is. So you need to create a well-written opinion in the form of a complete sentence. So, as you can see on the screen, I have listed my opinion. Well, in my opinion, I think that students should be able to read and write. Students should have to have good grades to play sports in school. So as you noticed, I answered the question from my grabber, but I also clearly stated my opinion according to the prompt. The prompt wasn't whether or not I think that you should be able to read or write or do sports. That wasn't the prompt. The prompt was, should students have to have good grades or not to play sports in school? So I wrote, I think they should have good grades in order to play sports in school. So I've met the requirements for my opinion box on my graphic organizer. I have given my grabber and I have listed my opinion. I've done the first part of my graphic organizer. That first part right here, what you see written on the screen, that is what's going to help me write my first paragraph. If you're thinking about how this organizer is going to help you write an essay, that first box right there, that's going to be the first paragraph of my essay. All right, so, so I've written my grabber, my opinion. The next step in my Oreo, I've done my O. Now I need to do my R and my E. So my reason number 1 and the evidence to support it. So I need to think back to those articles. We read those articles. What were some of my reasons as to why I think that good grades is important to play sports in school? And I can tell you one of them was that sports can take time away from studying and homework, which is important for a student to learn. So if a student doesn't have good grades, they need to spend the time, extra time, to study or get help from their teachers or an adult, or work on their homework to make sure they're getting the good grades. So my reason is I think that it takes time away. So I think that if they're not having good grades and they're going to take more time away from school, their grades aren't going to get better. They're only going to get worse. So that was my reason number 1. So in my evidence box, that means that I need to put 2 pieces of evidence from the text and 1 piece of evidence from my own thoughts. So I'm going to start with evidence from the text. I need to go back to the text and find evidence to support my reason. My reason was it takes time away. So as you can see in my evidence, I've boxed in, and you can circle, underline in the text, whatever you'd like to do. I've boxed in what I think supports my reason. The first piece of textual evidence says students may put in 1 to 4 or 5 hours in practice time each week. That's crazy. So if you are taking up to 5 hours away each week from your homework time or learning time, think about what's going to happen to your grades. That was a piece of evidence that supported my reason. The second piece, the author of this source said students should not spend less time in their homework and projects after school just because they're playing a sport. So what I've done is I've added in the first piece of evidence is students can spend 1 to 4 hours at practice a couple days each week. And I'm going to put quotations around that because it was from the text. And then my second piece that was from this text is that students should not spend more time on sports than their education. Their education is more important. And I put that one into my own words, so I'm not putting quotation marks around that. So I have 2 pieces of evidence from the text to support my reason. That's 2 pieces of evidence from the text to support my reason. The third is going to be my own thoughts. And as I was thinking about this, this is just Miss Briscoe's opinion. Remember, you might have a different opinion, and that's okay. But Miss Briscoe was not very coordinated. I like to run, but when it came to balls, kicking balls, throwing balls, or anything else, I just wasn't good at it. And so I knew that my chances for getting a good job or going to school was good grades. And so I really think that, I will most likely get into college or get a job if I focus on my education and can speak and read and write rather than just being able to play soccer or football or cheerleading. So that was my own thought. So I have 2 pieces of evidence from the text and 1 piece of evidence from my own mind. So go ahead and pause the video, write down your reason and your evidence. You can use my example or you can come up with your own. Remember, it's up to you. All right, hopefully you're able to pause the video and put your evidence into your organizer. The next step that we are going to have is we're going to come up with reason number 2. We have our opinion. We did reason evidence number 1. We're going to come up with reason number 2. That's the middle part of our organizer. My reason number 2 after reading these articles was that it takes a lot of teamwork and responsibility to play a sport. And if you don't have that responsibility or teamwork to get good grades in school, then you're probably not going to have it to play a sport. So that was my reason for number 2 to support why I think that students should have good grades in school to play a sport. So I went into the text and I blocked out large amounts of text that support my reason. These were 2 pieces of text that really supported what I was trying to say. So it says a student who is doing well and succeeding in all subject areas should be able to take on a sport after school. That student can likely handle the responsibility and manage his or her time so that schoolwork does not become less important. So that means that the student can probably do the sport and be responsible enough not to let their grades slip. The second piece is allowing any student to play an after-school sport regardless of grades suggests that schoolwork is not as important as sports. This is simply not true. Schools know that education is very important. That is why schools need to require good grades to play sports. This will help parents and students understand that learning comes first, which is true. Education is very important, and in my opinion, I think that it should be more important than sports. Remember, this is Miss Briscoe's opinion. It's okay if you don't have the same opinion. Everybody has different opinions. So those were the 2 pieces of evidence from the text that I found. So what I did is I put them in my own words because they were large pieces of text. I didn't want to write them word for word in my organizer. They're circled in my article so I can always go back and look at it when I go to write my essay. In my organizer, I cited the source, so source number 2 explains that students who have good grades are capable of the responsibility of playing a sport and should be rewarded with the opportunity to play. It also states that education is important and that students should show they know it is important and the first priority before taking time away from it to focus on a sport. So I've added my 2 pieces of evidence from my text. The last thing is I needed to put in my own thought to tie it all together. So I put, I believe that a team is counting on you to give them your best. Try. If you're not able to show that you can try your best with your education, which is important, then how can a team count on you to give them your best? Which is true. If you're not giving your best to education and you're supposed to go out in a soccer field and help your team out, how can they count on you to give your best on the field if you're not showing your best in every other aspect of your life, especially your education, which is really important? So that's my second reason and my 3 pieces of evidence for it. I, you know, I have those pieces from the text and I can always go back into my text and look at it if I need specific words, but I just paraphrased here. The last 2 things that would be on our graphic organizer are reason number 3 and our opinion restated. I didn't have a third reason, and that's okay. It's okay to just have 2 reasons. You don't have to have 3. There's a third box in case you have another really strong reason to support. I didn't, so I left it blank, and I wanted to do that to show you that it's okay to leave that third reason blank. You need at least 2, but you can leave the third reason blank. And the last thing is our O. We want to finish up our Oreo. So we did our beginning opinion. Remember, we did the beginning opinion, and then we did our second reason and evidence. We did our third reason, or sorry, our second reason and evidence and our first reason and evidence. Now we need to finish up our Oreo sandwich and give our opinion restated. So all you have to do is reword your opinion. So you can see I put, as you can see, education is really important. A student should show that they are capable and willing to get good grades before they can play a school sport. I've just restated my opinion in a different way. That's all you have to do. So go ahead, pause the video, complete your graphic organizer, and after you complete it, go ahead and play the video for the rest of the lesson. All right, guys, so hopefully you're able to complete your graphic organizer. In the assignment for the live lesson, it's going to ask you for a code word. The code word that you are going to write is your opinion matters, because it does. Everyone's opinion matter, and we should be able to support our opinions with textual evidence. So, as we look into our learning goals for today, we formed an opinion and we supported it with textual evidence. Some of you might have had the same opinion as me, And some of you might have different opinions, and that's okay because we are all different. Our world is different, and that's what makes it so special, is that there's so many unique people in our world. So we were able to look at that and how to do that today. And we also planned an opinion writing piece. We filled out our graphic organizer, so now when we go to write our essay, we're going to have everything in our organizer right where it needs to be perfectly to write our essay. So as you can see, we probably have moved up a little bit on our scale. We've gotten a lot of the 2. So if you were in that 1 area, you probably are thinking that you can do a 2, everything in the 2 on your own. And you're going to be able to show that later on in the module. And some of you that were in the 2, you might have moved up into the 3 a little bit, maybe at a 2.5. So we might be sitting at a 1.5, a 2, or a 2.5 right now on our learning scale. So think about that. Talk with your learning guide about where you think you are on this scale after today's lesson. And then you are going to have some more directions on this writing piece as your week goes on. So hold on to this graphic organizer. You're going to need it in the future. And as always, reach out to me if you have any questions or need more guidance with this. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.